What if I told you that Marilyn Monroe took secrets to her grave that could change everything you know about the 1960s? Secrets so explosive that a select group of people swore never to reveal them? Stay until the end because what you're about to discover will leave you speechless. In the early morning hours of August 5, 1962, the world woke up to devastating news. Marilyn Monroe had been found dead in her Brentwood home in Los Angeles. Hollywood's most famous blonde, the sex symbol of an era, the woman who sang Happy Birthday to President Kennedy so sensually that it went down in history, was dead at 36 years old. The official cause, barbiturate overdose. But since that fateful day, one question has continued echoing through the decades. What really happened to Marilyn Monroe? The official version never completely convinced the public. There were too many inconsistencies, unanswered questions, details that simply didn't fit. And it was in this information vacuum that one of Hollywood's most fascinating urban legends was born, the story of Marilyn Monroe's secret friends. According to this legend, Marilyn maintained an intimate and extremely discreet circle of confidants, people she entrusted with her deepest secrets, her most dangerous discoveries, and her most compromising truths. But who were these people? Why would Marilyn need secret friends when she was surrounded by fame and glamour? The answer lies in the shadows that surrounded the star's life. Marilyn Monroe wasn't just a pretty actress. She was intelligent, observant, and extremely aware of the political and social world around her. Her relationships with powerful figures, including presidents, politicians, and mob members, put her in a unique position. She saw and heard things that ordinary people would never see. And more importantly, she understood the weight and danger of this information. The legend says that Marilyn began gathering this secret group in mid-1961, when her life began to get dramatically complicated. Her love affairs with John F. Kennedy and later with his brother Robert Kennedy weren't just romances. They were direct connections to the center of American power. Marilyn attended parties where politicians discussed matters of state, where decisions that would affect millions of people were made between drinks and laughter. She was present in intimate moments, in conversations that should have been confidential. And Marilyn had an exceptional memory. The secret friends, according to legend, were 5 carefully chosen people. They weren't celebrities or people from Marilyn's public circle. They were ordinary individuals but extraordinarily trustworthy, a university history professor, a nurse who treated her in one of her most vulnerable moments, a taxi driver who transported her anonymously several times, a librarian who fed her voracious love of reading, and a war veteran who worked as a night security guard in a building that Marilyn secretly frequented. People invisible to Hollywood but essential to Marilyn. Why choose these specific people? Was Marilyn paranoid? Was she really in danger? Or did she simply need ears that weren't connected to the media circus that was her public life? The truth was probably somewhere between all these reasons. Marilyn knew she was playing a dangerous game. She had information about Cuba, about the mob, about secret government operations. She knew intimate secrets of powerful men. And in 1960s America, in the midst of the Cold War, when paranoia and conspiracy were the norm, having this kind of knowledge was extremely dangerous. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to carry a secret so heavy it could destroy presidents? Marilyn Monroe lived that reality every day. And what she did with that information will surprise you. But before we continue, tell me in the comments, do you believe in conspiracy theories about Marilyn? Leave your opinion here. The first meeting of the secret friends supposedly took place on a rainy October night in 1961, in a discreet apartment that Marilyn rented under a fake name on the outskirts of Los Angeles. No glamour, no Hollywood. Just 5 ordinary people sitting in a simple room, sharing coffee and listening to the most famous woman in the world reveal fears she couldn't share with anyone else. According to reports that emerged years later, Marilyn cried that first night. Not actress tears, but real tears from a vulnerable woman who desperately needed help. The university professor, identified only as Dr. H in documents that supposedly surfaced in the 1980s, was said to be the first to be recruited. He was a specialist in American political history, and Marilyn met him when she decided to return to studying, one of her secret passions that few knew about. Dr. H wasn't impressed by fame. To him, Marilyn was just a brilliant student hungry for knowledge, and it was precisely this indifference to her celebrity that won her trust. Marilyn could be herself with him, without masks, without a character. The nurse, called Margaret in some unconfirmed reports, met Marilyn during one of her discreet hospitalizations to treat depression and anxiety. Margaret saw Marilyn in her darkest moments, when makeup had been removed along with any pretense. She held Marilyn's hand during panic attacks, wiped away her tears, and never, not once, tried to sell her story to the tabloids. This unwavering loyalty made her a perfect confidant. Marilyn knew that Margaret understood fragility because she dealt with it every day in her work. The taxi driver, a man of Italian origin known only as Sal, transported Marilyn when she needed to disappear from public life. Using wigs, sunglasses, and ordinary clothes, Marilyn would call Sal at random hours, and he would take her to places where she could be anonymous: public libraries, small neighborhood movie theaters, modest cafeterias. Sal never asked questions. He simply drove, and sometimes on long nighttime trips through the empty city, Marilyn talked. She talked about her difficult childhood, about the powerful men who used her, about the secrets that weighed on her conscience. Sal listened in silence, his eyes in the rearview mirror always checking if they weren't being followed. The librarian, who some researchers believe was named Helen, worked at a small public library far from the Hollywood spotlight. Marilyn met her by chance during one of her anonymous expeditions around the city. Helen recognized the star immediately but pretended not to, allowing Marilyn to browse the shelves in peace. This simple gesture of respect created an instant bond. Marilyn began visiting the library regularly, always in disguise, and Helen began setting aside special books for her: political biographies, books on American history, even texts about espionage and secret government operations. Helen noticed that Marilyn wasn't just reading for pleasure. She was researching, trying to understand the dangerous world she had become involved in. And finally, there was the war veteran, a former Marine who worked as a night security guard in a commercial building in downtown Los Angeles. Jack, as some call him in the stories, had seen horrors in World War II and later in Korea. He understood military secrets, covert operations, and more importantly, understood the price of knowing too much. Marilyn met him when she used an office in that building for secret meetings with people who couldn't be seen entering her house. Jack kept watch, ensuring privacy and security. Over time, he became more than a guard. He became a silent protector who understood, without her needing to explain, the dangers that surrounded her. These 5 unlikely individuals formed a circle of trust that not even Marilyn's closest friends in Hollywood knew about. They met irregularly, always in different locations, always with elaborate precautions. And at each meeting, Marilyn revealed a little more. She talked about conversations she'd overheard between Kennedy and his advisors. She mentioned names of mob figures she'd met through dangerous connections. She described documents she'd seen accidentally, papers left on tables that contained classified information. She whispered about government plans in Cuba, about phone taps, about secret operations that the American public could never imagine. But why tell all this? What did Marilyn hope to achieve by revealing these secrets to 5 ordinary people? The answer, according to legend, was simple yet profound: security through dissemination. Marilyn believed that if something happened to her, if she died under suspicious circumstances, these 5 people could, each with their piece of the puzzle, reconstruct the truth. They were her insurance policy, her defense mechanism against those who might want to silence her. She was creating a safety net made not of power or money, but of loyalty and truth. Wait. What if I tell you that Marilyn kept a red diary where she wrote down everything? And that this diary mysteriously disappeared the night of her death? Stay with me because this is getting scarier and scarier. Comment below. Do you think Marilyn was murdered, or was it really suicide? The most controversial and sought-after object in this entire legend is Marilyn Monroe's famous red diary. According to multiple sources that emerged over the decades, Marilyn kept a small red-covered notebook where she wrote down names, dates, conversations, and details of her meetings with powerful figures. It wasn't an ordinary diary of thoughts and feelings. It was a meticulous record, almost a dossier of compromising information. And the secret friends knew about the diary's existence because Marilyn showed them parts of it during their clandestine meetings. Dr. H., the university professor, had reportedly advised Marilyn about the importance of documenting everything. He understood that in a high-level political game, information was power, but also protection. If powerful people knew that Marilyn had everything documented, they would think twice before taking any action against her. It was the theory of deterrence applied to personal life. But Dr. H also warned Marilyn about the danger. This same diary could be used as evidence against her, could destroy her career, or worse, could make her an even bigger target. It was a double-edged sword, and Marilyn decided to wield it anyway. Margaret, the nurse, saw the diary only once. Marilyn was carrying it in her purse during one of her discreet visits to the clinic where Margaret worked. That day, Marilyn was particularly agitated. She had just returned from a meeting with Robert Kennedy, and the conversation hadn't been pleasant. Margaret remembers, according to reports she supposedly gave before her death in the 1990s, that Marilyn opened the diary and showed her a specific page. On it were names Sam Giancana, head of the Chicago mob, Frank Sinatra, and several politicians whose names Margaret recognized from the newspapers. Next to each name, dates and brief notes. "They think I'm stupid," Marilyn reportedly said, "but I hear everything. I write everything down. And if they try to silence me, the world will know." Sal, the taxi driver, had an even more disturbing experience with the diary. On a July night in 1962, just weeks before Marilyn's death, he picked her up at an unusual location, an industrial area near the port of Los Angeles. Marilyn got into the taxi in a hurry, constantly looking back, clearly scared. She asked Sal to drive with no specific destination, just drive while she thought. During this nearly 2-hour drive through the nighttime city, Marilyn opened the diary and began reading aloud, not to Sal specifically, but as if she were reviewing information for herself. Sal heard names that made him break out in a cold sweat. Operation Mongoose, Bay of Pigs. Sam says Bobby is furious. JFK promised but lied. They were fragments of conversations about secret operations against Cuba, about tensions between the presidency and the mob, about broken promises and betrayals. Helen, the librarian, helped Marilyn research cryptography and ways to protect information. Marilyn was paranoid that someone might steal her diary, so she developed a simple but effective code system. Real names were replaced with initials or nicknames. Dates were written in cipher. Helen, fascinated by Marilyn's hidden intelligence, brought books about the history of secret codes used during wars. Marilyn devoured this information, applying basic cryptography techniques to her diary. She wasn't a secret agent, but she was learning to think like one. And this raises a frightening question. If Marilyn was taking these precautions, what exactly did she know that justified so much fear? Jack, the war veteran and night security guard, was probably the one who best understood the real danger Marilyn faced. He had seen men killed for knowing too much during his days in military service. He knew about silencing operations, knew how government agencies and criminal organizations worked. And when Marilyn told him about the diary, Jack immediately recognized the risk. "You're playing with fire," he reportedly told her during one of their nighttime meetings in the empty building. "These people don't hesitate. If they think you're a threat, they'll neutralize that threat." Marilyn responded with a mixture of defiance and resignation. "I know, Jack. That's why I created you all. You're my guarantee that the truth doesn't die with me." But there was another element to this complex plot. Marilyn had made copies. According to legend, she didn't completely trust even her secret friends, so she made multiple copies of the diary's most important pages and distributed them strategically. One copy was supposedly left in a bank vault under a fake name. Another would be hidden in a location only she knew. And specific pages had been mailed to unknown addresses with instructions to be opened only if something happened to her. It was an elaborate security system for someone who apparently was just a pretty actress. But Marilyn Monroe was playing chess while everyone thought she was just posing for photos. The meetings of the secret friends became more frequent and urgent in the summer of 1962. Marilyn felt something was wrong. Her phone calls had strange echoes suggesting wiretaps. She noticed cars following her. People she didn't know appeared in places where she should have been anonymous. During a particularly tense meeting in July, Marilyn revealed to the five that she was being pressured to forget certain things and to keep her mouth shut. Who was making these threats? She didn't say explicitly, but made it clear they were people with a lot of power and a lot to lose. Dr. H suggested she go to the police, but Marilyn laughed bitterly. "The police? You think the police can protect me from these people? They control the police." Margaret begged Marilyn to leave everything behind, move to another city, start over. But Marilyn refused. She had gone too far. She knew too much. And on some level, according to what she revealed in that meeting, she wanted the truth to come out. Not out of revenge, but for justice. "The American people deserve to know," she reportedly said. "What kind of men are running this country? What kind of deals are being made in the shadows?" These were powerful words coming from someone the world saw only as a sex symbol, a dumb Hollywood blonde. But the secret friends knew the truth. Marilyn Monroe was much smarter and braver than anyone imagined. And now comes the part that's going to change everything you thought you knew about Marilyn Monroe. What happened that night in August 1962 wasn't what you were told. Pay attention because this ending will leave you jaw-dropped. On the night of August 4th, 1962, just hours before her death, Marilyn Monroe made 5 phone calls. Police recorded some of them, but never revealed who all of them were made to. According to the Secret Friends legend, those 5 calls were to each of them. And in each call, Marilyn said the same thing. "It's happening. If you don't hear from me by noon tomorrow, you know what to do." But do what exactly? Go to the press? Turn the diary copies over to authorities? Or simply keep the secrets forever? Dr. H answered his call around 7 p.m. He was at home preparing classes for the upcoming semester when the phone rang. Marilyn's voice was strange, too calm, resigned. "Thank you for teaching me to think critically," she said. "Thank you for making me realize I had value beyond my appearance." Then she hung up. Dr. H tried to call back immediately, but the line was busy. He spent the entire night trying, but never managed to speak with Marilyn again. The next morning, when he heard the news of her death on the radio, he knew. He knew something terrible had happened, and he knew he now carried a burden that would change his life forever. Margaret received the call while working the night shift at the hospital. Marilyn was crying, something rare for her in recent weeks. "I should have listened to you," Marilyn said. "Should have left when you suggested it. But now it's too late. Margaret, promise me you'll take care of the truth for me." Margaret promised, without fully understanding what she was promising. She begged Marilyn to tell her where she was to let her come there, but Marilyn refused. "They're watching. If you come, you'll put yourself in danger too." And then abruptly, the call dropped. Margaret stood holding the phone, hearing the busy signal, feeling a chill down her spine that she could never fully describe. Sal, the taxi driver, was in his cab when the internal radio crackled. It wasn't a call from dispatch. It was Marilyn, who had gotten his radio number weeks earlier. "Sal, don't come pick me up tonight no matter who calls asking. It wasn't you. Understand? It wasn't you." The message was enigmatic, but Sal understood perfectly. Marilyn was saying that if someone called later asking for a taxi in her name, it would be a trap. Someone was preparing to make it look like she had tried to go somewhere, perhaps creating an alibi, a narrative. Sal tried to ask questions, but the connection was interrupted by static and then silence. Helen was closing the library when her personal phone rang, a number only a few people had. "I left something for you," Marilyn said without preamble. "But don't look for it right away. Wait. When it's safe, you'll know. It's in the place where we first met, where it all began." Helen tried to question, but Marilyn had already hung up. The next day, when she learned of Marilyn's death, Helen went to the shelf where they had first met in the library. There was nothing. She searched for weeks, for months, but never found what Marilyn had hidden. Or did someone get there first? Or did Marilyn never have time to leave anything? This mystery tormented Helen for the rest of her life. And finally, Jack. The war veteran received the last call around 10:30 p.m. His voice was the calmest of all. "Jack, you're a soldier. You understand about sacrifice. You understand that sometimes people die so the truth can survive." Jack felt his stomach turn. "Marilyn, what are you saying? Where are you? I can come to you." But Marilyn just laughed, a sad and tired laugh. "No, my friend. You've already done your part. You all have. Now you need to decide what to do with what you know. But remember, they're always watching, always listening. Be smarter than I was." And then, before Jack could respond, the line went dead. At 3:50 a.m. on August 5th, 1962, Marilyn Monroe's housekeeper, Eunice Murray, found her body. Police were called. The scene was described as a barbiturate overdose, probable suicide. But there were strange inconsistencies. The positioning of the body, the lack of water in the room. How would she have swallowed so many pills? And the suspicious delay between discovering the body and calling the police. The mysterious phone calls that had been erased from official records. And most importantly, the red diary was never found. The 5 secret friends never met again as a group after that night. Each dealt with the knowledge in their own way. Dr. H continued teaching, but developed an obsession with conspiracy theories and secret government operations that intrigued his colleagues. Margaret moved to a small town in the countryside and never spoke publicly about Marilyn again. Sal sold his taxi and disappeared. Some say he went to Mexico. Helen continued at the library, but developed a nervous habit of constantly looking over her shoulder. And Jack. Jack was found dead in 1965, officially from a heart attack, but having never had heart problems before. They all died without fully revealing what they knew. Some left clues, sealed letters, recordings, documents kept in bank vaults that were only supposed to be opened after their deaths. But when these boxes were finally opened, decades later, the contents had disappeared. Someone got there first. Someone was watching, waiting, cleaning up the traces. So what did Marilyn really know? Who killed her, if it was murder? Does the Red Diary exist somewhere, dusty in an attic, hidden in a forgotten vault? Or was it destroyed that fateful August night? Were the secret friends real or just an urban legend created to make sense of a senseless death? The truth is, we'll never know for sure. But one thing is undeniable. Marilyn Monroe was much more than the world allowed her to be. She was intelligent, brave, and dangerously informed. And perhaps, just perhaps, somewhere in this world, there exists a small red-covered notebook waiting to tell the story that would change everything we know about the 1960s. Some secrets, they say, are too big to be revealed, but they're also too big to be completely buried. And as long as there are people asking questions, searching for answers, the legend of Marilyn Monroe's secret friends will continue to live, whispered in dark rooms, debated on online forums, investigated by those who believe truth always finds a way to the light. The question that remains is, are you ready to believe that Hollywood's most famous icon was silenced for knowing too much? Or do you prefer the comfortable version of a tragic star who succumbed to her own demons? The Red Diary could be anywhere. And perhaps, just perhaps, you're the next person to discover it. So, what did you think of this story? If you got goosebumps, if you believe there's much more behind Marilyn Monroe's death than we were told, leave your like down below. Comment what your theory is. Was Marilyn murdered or was it suicide? Do you think the Red Diary exists? What would you do if you found this diary today? I want to know your opinion. Share this video with that friend who loves conspiracy theories and unsolved mysteries. You'll have a lot to discuss. And if you want more stories like this, intriguing mysteries, urban legends, and conspiracies that will make you question everything, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. See you in the next mystery, if the truth lets us tell it.